In postseason football, you need to find that extra gear. On FanDuel, it's called Playoff Mode. Big boosts, more rewards, and a whole new way to live parlay with Drive SGP. Turn on Playoff Mode, only on FanDuel.
New customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. 21 plus and present in select states. First online real money wager only. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. It is the first week of January here in this fresh new year, and this is Phillies Therapy, the first one of our fifth season. That's right, our fifth season doing this wonderful podcast, which has stretched the length of the current collective bargaining agreement, brings us into this new season with the Phillies not having done much since the last time we chatted. There have been a couple of bits of moving and shaking, some intrigue around the edges of the roster. A former mainstay has been traded, finally, you might say, as was anticipated for some time. But apart from that, there's still some work for the Phillies to do. Now that the holiday break is over, now that everybody is back to business, back to work, I know I, for my part, am very slow to get back in the swing of things. Hopefully the folks working with the team are a little bit quicker to address some of the holes that are still lingering on this roster, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Joining me, also fresh off of his own break, which was hopefully a little bit more relaxing than mine, he is the Athletic Phillies beat writer. He is my partner in crime here in this fifth season of Phillies Therapy. He is Matt Gill. Matt, good morning. Welcome to another new year. It is 2026 and we're still doing this thing, huh?
Crazy.
It's wild. Welcome in. As we were talking about,
you said about it spanned the length of the CBA, and I got a real jump scare for a minute because I'm thinking, man, what are we going to be talking about a year from now?
Well, yeah, we'll cross that
Hopefully
bridge when
we're still talking.
Yeah, right. You and I were talking before we started recording here about like decorum around wishing a happy new year, and I differ from a lot of people in that. I think it is nice to wish someone that you like and a happy new year if we're still in the first half of January and it's the first time you're seeing them. I feel like that kind of stretches I'll call it holiday spirit. It doesn't really have a late expiration date an early expiration date, I should say. So here on January 6th, I wish you and everybody else out there who is listening to us here for the first time in this year, a happy new year, even though that was almost a week ago.
What's funny is that when spring training starts, I'll often be wishing people happy new year. Like when I see people at the complex.
Yeah.
And it's probably a tired bit, but I don't know. I've heard people do that before. It's, the new year doesn't really start until pitchers and catchers report.
Well, that's exactly right. But speaking of tired bits,
by the way, which is 5 weeks from today.
Yeah, 5 weeks. I know. I've already got all my stuff booked up for my spring training trip. I'm getting excited for that. My dad is over the moon. He loves this. But speaking of tired bits, Matt, there's still a little bit of unfinished business with this team. Obviously, as I teased early in the open, the day after we recorded our last episode, toward the later part of December, Matt Strahm was traded to the Royals for a right-handed reliever named Jonathan Bolin. The Phillies also made a couple moves around the edges of the roster. They traded outfielder Avery Owusu-Asiedu to the Diamondbacks for lefty Kyle Backus, who made his major league debut in 2025. They also signed longtime major league reliever Zach Pop to another one of these interesting major league deals that are split, sort of like what they did with Garrett Stubbs, a high minor league salary. And they added a little bit of catching depth. Not the catcher that you think. No. They added former Olympian Mark Kolishvary on a minor league contract. And then that's it. That's what they did. That was the last move that was made. It was made official the day after Christmas in December. And here we are on January 6th with JT Realmuto still unsigned. And for the other Phillies free agents, Ranger Suarez, Harrison Bader, even down to Max Kepler and old friend, multi-time friend David Robertson. These guys are still unsigned. There are a lot of moves, Phillies adjacent moves, if we could classify them that way, that are still to be made here as we reach this 5-week, 6-week home stretch between now and when pitchers and catchers report. And Matt, this stalemate between the Phillies and Real Muto just seems like it is getting to that tired bit territory. Like, why are we still here? What is going on with these two sides, and why are we still talking about this in January?
I have a perfect explanation for it, and it's go look at the past. And I'm not even talking about 5 years ago when, it took them a while to get to the extension that he ended up signing, or it was a re-sign, but yeah, I mean, 115.5 million. They didn't do it until the end of January in 2021. But I'm going even further back than that. I mean, and you could go even further back than this, but I mean, his last year of arbitration, JT and the Phillies went to a hearing and it was over 2.5 million. The Phillies had offered to settle at the midpoint before the hearing, and it wasn't acrimonious. Like, it was more of a principled thing. And Real Muto has always taken this stance. I mean, I think he's always looked at himself as sort of a standard bearer for the catching position. And that means trying to do whatever he can to help future catchers in terms of salary and standards for contracts. I mean, he went to an arbitration hearing with the Miami Marlins years ago over, I think, like $600,000. I think there's just a certain level of stubbornness in Real Muto, which doesn't mean that there's like animosity right now between the two sides, but I think that there's something of a game of chicken, like a stare down, really, between the two sides. And like, this is how it unfolded 5 years ago, and you could argue that the Phillies extended to certain lengths that they didn't have to 5 years ago. Like, I think there are a lot of people within the industry, especially within the organization, who thought that they were bidding against themselves 5 years ago. And
Okay.
they thought it was important, though, or at least John Middleton thought it was important, that Real Muto feel rewarded, feel like he was paid what he was worth. Set a standard, like the AAV at the time, I think, and still is, maybe was the highest for a catcher. That said, I think this is a very different situation because he's 35, because it's a shorter term deal, because it appears, the market is not maybe as robust for him as we thought it would be. I have a hard time like figuring out like who is involved, and it's not just it's been that way for a couple weeks now. And I think that's kind of where the Phillies are at. It's like, if you have another offer that tops ours, like, come to us and like we'll talk. Like, I'm guessing the Phillies would be raising their offer. I mean, because I think ultimately, Paul, like, the same thing holds true. Like, the Phillies need him and he needs the Phillies. And I think they will get there. I just don't know when. I'm going to say that it's going to be before January 26th, which is when he signed that 5-year deal in 2021.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No,
I mean, like, yeah. Everybody's
it's good
like,
to have that historical refresher. Like, that timeline you just went over it could be important context, right? Because for my part, I had forgotten about the arbitration hearing. I had, just honestly. And I think I remember the 5-year extension taking about that long, but I didn't realize it was almost 3 weeks after this point in time right here. So it could be a symptom of the baseball offseason being its long, stretched out self, that this sense of time just kind of gets warped. I think what was different for me in this moment is I thought it was like a Kyle Schwarber situation where it was so understood, right?
Yeah.
That the link was there, that the fit was there, and it was almost a sure thing that this was going to happen. And instead, now here we are into the third month of the off season, right? And it's still not done. It's surprising.
Yeah, and it's different than like, oh, it's like people are like, man, Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman and Bo Bichette haven't signed yet, or Ranger Suarez and Framber Valdez haven't signed yet. It's like, well, typically the guys of those stature signed in January,
Yeah,
right? I mean, like most of the big name, big dollar free agent signings tend to happen in January or late
that feels
December at
normal to
least.
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. But you're right. I mean, the JT situation does feel different than that. Uh and a lot of people have been asking me like, well, why don't they just if they can't get a deal, or if they, if this is taking so long, why don't they just pivot and take his money and spend it on somebody like Bo Bichette? And the issue is that the money that you're allocating for Real Muto, like let's just say spitballing, 15 million per year, roughly. I
Huh.
don't know if that's what it's going to be. Let's just estimate that something around there.
That
That's what
sounds
they've
fair.
budgeted.
Yeah.
That might be like half of what Bo Bichette's going to make next
Sure.
year. And so, okay, so you're like, oh, well, okay, well, if you're getting Bichette, then you're moving Bohm, and you can just offload his $10 million, and you've got 15 plus 10, that's 25. You can just go over a little bit to get Bo Bichette. I don't know that like they can just offload Alec Boehm's $10 million right now. I don't know if they want to do that, first of all, and I don't know if they can do that. I think Boehm is staying, and I think it's because they explored that trade market and found that there was not a lot of interest, or the offers were just totally unappealing to the point where they're just like, well, why, let's keep him. And it's in a walk year for him. And maybe there's some uh, changes and adjustments and motivations associated with a walk year. Um, I know he's been, doing a lot of work this off season, you know, in the cage, but like, I just think like pivoting right now sounds great on paper. I just don't know how plausible it is. And again, they'll be connected to those big name free agents, and so long as they're out there, I just don't think absent one of those players' markets just totally collapsing. I don't think that the organization has the wherewithal to sign another big dollar player for a
It
long term contract.
it does seem as though, and I think we came to this point last offseason too. It seems as though we are coming to the point where the Phillies spending event horizon is in view. That they
Yes.
have a ton of money to spend, you know, top 5, top 3 payroll in the sport, and they'll have that again when all said and done, and they make this move that we all assume they will by adding JT. They'll be more than $60 million over the CBT threshold, right? Which is going to be
I
244
mean,
million this year.
currently, right now, spot snapshot in time, I believe they have, again, this number changes, but I think they have the third highest payroll when calculated for luxury tax for
Yeah.
2026 right now.
Yeah. So
Dodgers and Mets, the only teams ahead of them.
sure. And it's well understood that those two teams can, print money as they see fit. Well, the Dodgers at least. The Mets are already kind of backing off some things, but I digress. The Phillies are reaching the point where they are almost done spending what they can spend. It sure feels that way. I feel as though if they had the ability to spend a lot more than what they are currently spending, which is roughly $300 million on payroll, even before, adding another catcher and another 10, $15 million, um, that with the markets being the way they are, this is just going on feel around somebody like Bo Bichette, that they haven't tried to pounce on that they don't have that whatever that
I
takes
mean, I think
goes
his
into the
market is
red zone.
good. Well, I mean,
Oh,
because I
okay.
think
All
his
right.
market is good. I mean, like, I think Bichette, I think the Red Sox are signing either Bregman or Bichette, one of those guys. And I think given that, I think the Blue Jays are still in on one of those big name guys. I think the Mets quite obviously have at least one, probably two, maybe three big moves still left in them. So I think the market for some of these guys is strong. I mean, Kyle Tucker, really unclear, right? But I mean, I think
Yeah.
he'll get his money, whether it's in a higher AAV short term deal, or spread out on a longer term deal. He's going to get it. Um, and I know there's some frustration like in Phillies land, and I said this like going into the offseason, Paul. Like I thought that there was a chance they look at the larger situation, which is um, a new CBA next year, which we don't know what the financial structure of the league, of the whole sport is going to be, but let's just assume there's no salary cap, because I think that's a fair assumption. There's never been one. So let's just assume the status quo prevails. And in the new CBA, that the tax penalties will reset. That's always happened. The thresholds will go up. That has always happened. You have $38 million in AAV in Taiwan Walker and Nick Castellanos that will not be on your books next year. I thought, maybe there was a chance this offseason that they looked at that as a 1-year hit here, where it's like, man, we just gotta eat it. And we're gonna spend that money now because there's a player that we really, really like now, as opposed to next offseason. And we're just gonna have to really have a huge tax bill, huge payroll for this 2026 season, knowing that it will go down a little bit in 2027. And I just don't think that's not the approach they want to take. And there's different things at play, no doubt. I mean, it's like, even when that $38 million comes off the books in those guys next year, there are things that they have to reinvest. Like Joan Duran will be 1 year closer to free agency. Are you getting closer to an extension with him? Jesus Luzardo will be a free agent. Are you extending him? And that number could be pretty big, right?
Yeah,
even if they do it in the spring, and I do think they will talk to his camp in the spring. Even if they do it in the spring, we see the going rate for, pitchers on the other side of 30, especially left-handed, to throw hard and have a high strikeout rate. A lot. I don't know, a year from now, as a free agent, would it be surprising if he was signing a contract with a $30 million AAV?
No.
No. So that's all of the money that's coming off the books there. It's going to him. I don't know, but I think there's a lot of play. And I do think the one person who is, I don't want to say looming over all of their decisions this offseason, but I think he is on their minds.
Uh-huh.
And he's not going to be on their opening day roster. He might not even play in the majors in 2026, but I kind of think he's going to. And I just think that they want to have the flexibility to leave an infield spot ajar, the door just slightly ajar at some point in 2026 for Aiden Miller.
Yeah. Yep.
I do.
There's the name. Mm-hmm.
I do. And again, these are a similar conversation that we were having about Andrew Painter at this time last year. And no doubt it was disappointing that he did not contribute for them at the major league level in 2025. We've discussed it a lot, what happened and why it happened. And certainly his stock is lower than it was at this time last year, but I still think that he's going to be a contributor for them in 2026. Miller, I don't know, but I will say that the industry's opinion of him, other teams' opinion of him, is quite high, and it's higher than it was at this time last year. And he's as close to, a lineup regular, and I'm not saying superstar. I'm not. I'm saying he's as close to a productive lineup regular that they have regenerated in their system since Bowman stopped. And it's time. They need, and Justin Crawford's going to get the first crack at that, sort of filling that role, right? Where you're coming up from the system and we want you to just be, a capable, competent, everyday guy, because we need youth and we need, league minimum salary at one position on the field. Because right now they don't have that. So
yeah.
I think to make this whole thing work, they have to sort of leave these spots slightly ajar. Is it going to pan out the way that they want it to? I don't know. Probably not. It's a big jump, and we've seen, it's hard for rookies. It's hard. But you're not asking these guys to be stars. You're asking them to be complimentary, competent, everyday guys. And we'll see. But I do think that that's factoring into this. I really do. And it's why Bohm has never been, they've never talked about extending Bohm, or like he's clearly not part of like the long term
Right.
future,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's evident in them trying to move him. But uh, if you keep Bohm, that's not saying that he's necessarily your guy for the whole year in 2026. I mean, if Miller pushes it and Bohm is just like
Sure.
come June or July, like maybe we're talking about some kind of change there. And if you do juggle your infield now and sign another $30 million player who's really good, like maybe that's the way they should go. But I understand why they're not going that way. I do.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
In postseason football, you need to find that extra gear. On FanDuel, it's called playoff mode. Flipping the switch on the FanDuel app can flip the script on the entire season. Big boosts, more rewards than ever. And introducing Drive SGP, an entirely new way to live parlay any drive and bet at the speed of football. This season, everyone makes the playoffs, and FanDuel is making them even more awesome. Turn on playoff mode, only on FanDuel.
New customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. 21 plus and present in select states. First online real money wager only. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
It's funny how fast time has gone by for those two guys in particular, Bohm and Stott, because we are now talking about Alec Bohm entering his 7th major league season, debuting in 2020. He's going to turn 30 in August. We're talking about Bryson Stott entering his 5th major league season. He just turned 28 this past October. These are no longer guys who have a ton of projection out in front of them. They are not guys who have a ton of runway left to prove that they can do something more than what they have already done at the major league level. And if you have a prospect at the caliber of Aiden Miller, right? Because he is very, very legitimately a capital P prospect. He is going to be on like national lists in the top 20 somewhere across the board, probably, right? Like he's good, and take that for what that's worth. He's somebody who has evolved into being a competent or better infielder at tough positions with world-class base stealing ability that has evolved and shot up into 60 steal territory last year, while also being a disciplined hitter at the plate who maybe doesn't hit for as much pop as was expected, but is still putting good swings in there, putting good swing decisions out there. He is somebody that has that runway. And he is somebody that this team does need to give that serious consideration to as part of the future, even if it's only, 5, 6, 7 years, only 5, 6, 7 years. That is something that they need to be looking at. And Bohm and Stott are not blocking positions anymore. They aren't. They're good major league players, and they are starting major league players. Use that classification. And that's right. They are starting major league caliber players. Aiden Miller could be something more. And if those two don't perform, you got to think about it. I mean, clearly they're already doing that with Bohm. Maybe you start thinking about it a little bit more with Stott. He feels
For sure. I mean, I think Miller's going to play some second and third in the spring.
Yeah. So
here's since Bohm debuted, Paul.
Yep.
This is just a sad list.
Oh no.
Okay. This is a list of Phillies rookies with 150 plate appearances in a season.
Oh, man.
150. Okay, this is the
no.
list: Matt Vierling,
Uh-huh.
Bryson Stott,
Yeah.
Johan Rojas, Otto Kemp.
Nick Maton didn't even do it, did he?
No,
Oh, man.
150. I've lowered the threshold very low.
Oh, that's really low. Yeah.
Those are the only rookies that have even
Oh,
had
man.
a semblance of major league playing time, since Bohm debuted. And like you said, it's been a while. I mean, like, he's entering his 7th season. I mean, Bohm debuted in 2020. Like, that's a long time ago now. They need, whether it works or not, like, and Dave Dombrowski has said this at time and time again. It's like, sure, there's some doubt about Justin Crawford, no doubt. We like him, we get it. There's some doubt, but like, we have to we have to see,
Yeah.
if he can do it. And he's right. He's right.
Yep. Yes, he is.
And I think they'll reach a point. Maybe it's this year, maybe it's not, with Miller, where it's the same conversation. We have to see, because the Phillies can't keep doing this thing where there's just not any talent coming from the system. And that said, they've used their farm system in different ways. I mean, to acquire, players and trades that have really helped them. I mean, think about it.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what the international program has done for them. I mean, it started, like, you can go all the way back to Sixto Sanchez getting them JT Realmuto.
Sure.
You can Eduardo Tait helping, really getting them John Duran.
Yes.
Starlin Caba getting them Jesus Luzardo.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, it hasn't resulted in players graduating to the majors for the Phillies from the international program necessarily, outside of Rojas, outside of, gosh, I mean, I don't know, you can go, Sir Anthony Dominguez was,
sure,
international signing that did that, but they have to find ways to incorporate younger players, and I think it's just time. And like, while we would like to see them sign all of the best players every offseason, I on one hand I see this offseason for what it is, and like, I think there's going to be some disappointment, like, if this is kind of it, and I think it's generally kind of it. Like, after they figure out catcher, assuming they re-sign Real Muto, I think it's some stuff around the edges, and I think that's it. And
I think that's
I get it.
fine. Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's fine.
It's fine, but it feels underwhelming, doesn't it? I don't know,
Sure.
and I'm not sure where I land yet, because I do think on one hand, like, they should have found a way to treat some of the dead money like it's dead money.
I agree with that.
And just eat it for a year. And just
Yeah.
have a really big bill for a year. But
that would have been exciting.
It's easy for me to say that, because
know.
it is, again, not my money.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I do think what's colored some of this, and I can only say so much about this because there's only so much I know.
Uh-huh.
I do think what's colored some of this offseason is that there's a lot of internal, cautious, measured optimism about Zach Wheeler's recovery.
Ah, okay. That's good.
I think there's a lot of good feelings about how he has progressed.
Good. Oh, I love to hear that. That would,
and I can already see this in spring training. I know this is going to be, I can already see this in my mind, a storyline where I can just picture it. And this is just me thinking about it.
Okay.
Is that Wheeler's going to be pushing, like, to be ready. He's going to be pushing to be ready for, like, opening day.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be ready for opening day, but I can already see this. Like, push pull in my mind. Because I think in Wheeler's mind, like, he's getting paid a lot of money and he only has so much time left, I think, in the sport. And I think he would like to pitch as many games as he can.
Sure. That's admirable. I love that. They do have to be reasonable about this, of course, and I hope.
Correct.
I hope precaution wins the day eventually.
I mean, I'm sure it will. I mean, it's Wheeler, it's the Phillies. Like, they will be cautious. But I can already see it, right, where he's like kind of moving. He's moving along. You're like, oh man, like, is this guy gonna be ready? And like, I'm sure he's gonna push for it. I'm sure he will. Will he throw a pitch in April for the Phillies? I don't think so, but also don't think that it's that crazy.
I think as it relates to the excitement or the creativity or the interesting layers to this offseason here in the first week of January, that I do understand it having characteristics of being both rational and boring or disappointing. Because again, I think it's very important that all of us on the fan side remember that this team won 96 freaking games last year, and they're returning a lot of the
I don't
same
think anybody
players.
wants you to hear you say that.
It's in 95 the year before. That is such a high bar. I understand that everybody is getting older, and we are getting to a point where every year that gets added to that number carries a higher risk of performance falling off a sharper cliff.
We all die.
We all die, eat at Arby's. That's probability. It's not a sure thing. It is also not something to ignore. It's somewhere in the middle, nuance, gray area, that wonderful thing. But the Phillies won 96 games. They are returning the pitching core of that, the backbone of that 96 win team, mostly intact. And if Zach Wheeler recovers to full strength or near full strength by May, that's fantastic. That's tremendous. The offense is a little bit concerning. Fine, whatever. I think they're going to try and pitch their way out of that anyway. If they don't do anything else apart from reunite with JT, the offseason is still a mild success to me. I would like...
and what's your grade? Like, let's just say, like, they re-sign Real Muto, they maybe get another bench bat. Like, that's it. Like, what do you like? How do you grade the offseason?
The one jumping into my mind is like B-.
Yeah, B-, C+. I'll probably C+, B-, somewhere around there.
Yeah, because I like the bullpen additions. Matt Strahm getting shipped out. Yes, the last episode we talked about how I would have preferred to keep him to keep some length in that bullpen, but the moves they've made around the edges, we could see something out of Jonathan Bolin. We could see something out of Kyle Backus. They are at the very least viable relief depth that this team did not have prior to the Strahm trade. And I know those were two separate moves, but they have made those moves to shore that up a little bit and absorbed a bit of Strahm's loss. They have a better right-handed arsenal in that bullpen at this time here before the season than they did last year by a long shot. They've got Duran coming into this year. They've got Brad Keller now coming into this year. If Orion Kerkering is your number 3 right-handed reliever, even if he doesn't make the leap like I thought he was going to make last year, and he just settles in as a competent middle relief pitcher, that's still really good. That's a good top 3 from the right side, while still potentially having you hope, revitalized Jose Alvarado and a competent Tanner Banks.
Yeah, and what was my major complaint off of spring training and as we went to the season and we saw the disasters of the bullpen in April and May, and then this offseason, I said they didn't create enough competition in the bullpen. And I think they have done a much better job of that this offseason. I mean, they've devoted a lot of those empty 40-man spots we were talking about, 6 weeks ago, have gone to relievers. Strahm is out, so that's -1. But I mean, you get Keller, Bolin, Pop, McCambly, Correa. I'm still not saying his name right.
Yeah.
Who am I forgetting? It's Backus.
Yeah.
That's six 40-man spots they ended up giving to relievers. Some of those guys with options, some of them without. They've created more competition, more depth. It is a better unit entering the season, barring injury, than it was last year. I'm pretty convinced of that.
I'd agree with that. I think
it's better because Duran is there, but
sure.
Take away Duran, right? I mean, like everybody else, like I just think it's a better unit by a lot. I just think there's just more. There's more lively arms. There's more swing and miss. That is something that they sorely lacked, especially in the middle of the bullpen last year. There just was not enough swing and miss.
You have mentioned this on the other side of the coin, however, that there is a distinct lack of rotation depth. And if a major injury gets sustained, if Zach Wheeler has a setback or takes longer, if If any number of things happen, I won't go down the list here. If any number of things happens to the current major league rotation, there is not a lot of cushion underneath them.
Do we want if I had a New Year's resolution for the Phillies, if there's only one thing that you would want them to accomplish in January while everybody is still thinking about their resolutions before they drop their resolutions this January, I don't know how they're going to do it, what it looks like. They have to find a way to procure competent rotation depth, because right now I think it is the biggest weakness in the entire organization. And I think it is a real risk. And obviously the offseason is not done. January is the time of year where you're signing, guys to minor league deals, maybe who thought, they went to the offseason thinking, oh, I'll get a major league deal, and they end up not getting one. Maybe you try to do something creative, a la the Zach Pop deal, which, for explanation's sake, like it's a split deal. He goes on the 40-man roster. It's a major league contract. He's out of options. And it was kind of a head scratcher, because you're like, this guy hasn't been a productive major league pitcher for a couple years now. But basically, unless he has a great spring, like he's probably coming off the 40-man roster before the season starts. And the way they did it is that he gets $900,000 for the prorated for the time that he spends in the majors, and he gets $250,000 minor league salary, which is a high minor league salary.
Yes.
And essentially when you take him off the roster and you have to send up their waivers, the idea is that, oh, it's such a high minor league salary that a team is not going to take on that contract. And when the guy clears waivers, it's like, well, you can refuse the assignment to AAA, but you're also giving up that $250,000 guaranteed minor league salary. Good luck finding that elsewhere. So it's I won't say it's a trap, but I mean, for a guy on a fringe like Pop, it makes sense. It's like, okay, well, at the very least, I know that I can get a decent minor league salary, and I'm in an organization that liked me enough to give me a major league contract at some point. They could try to do something like that for a starting pitcher type. They did that with Colby Howard a couple years ago. Very similar contract structure. He had options, though. That was the difference, is that they gave him a major league contract because they're like, well, we're going to probably send you out to AAA. We'll give you a nice AAA salary, but this is how we're going to do it. It's less obvious how they do that this offseason with rotation. I mean, Paul, I mean, like, am I out of line here? I mean, like, this is just, I really worry about the rotation situation outside the top 5 guys. And maybe like I did this as you were talking, and maybe Taijuan Walker's season deserves more reflection. I know that he was just okay. Like, I think I was pretty, out on him for most of the year because I just didn't think it was that great. But I'm just going to give you a list, okay? There were 105 pitchers last year who threw 120 innings.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know ERA is not
four per team. Yeah.
ERA is not, a great measurement of everything. I understand that. But he ranked 54th out of 105 guys in ERA.
Right.
Which makes him
middle.
like right in the middle, which, like, that's all you want him to be, essentially. And, like, I know he's making more money. I get it. Like, you wanted him to be more than that. But right now, going for 2026, if he was the same thing, 123 innings of a 4.08 ERA, you're going to, like, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, I guess, like, I don't know. I mean, I knew it was okay for most of the year. Like, it was just, a little better than league average or about league average. But that was pretty useful.
Yes. Especially because that's 123 innings that could have gone to somebody who was not as ready or not as major league capable. And that might have gone sideways.
But outside of the top 6 guys, and I'm counting that's Sanchez, Luzardo, Suarez, Wheeler, Walker, Nola. These were the guys who made starts for them last year. Abel, Buehler, Joe Ross, and Tanner Banks. And that the Banks one was the rain
opener.
Weird thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ross was an opener. Same week. It was like the same weekend as Atlanta, then Pittsburgh. That's it. That's all they had to do to dip into their depth, really. And I'm counting Walker as part of the group because he's guaranteed money. I'm just going to go on a limb and say that they're going to have to need more than 10 starts from their number 7 through 11 starters this year.
Yes, that's a good way to think about it.
And now Painter, yes, factors into that. Okay, so Painter, let's say, is your, I guess, 7th guy when everybody is healthy right now, and he's probably more than that. But I don't know. Like after Painter, it's like Gene Cabrera, Alan Ronhell. I can't even give you another name because there is no other name.
Right. I mean, at this time last year, we would have thought about, Moises Chase, whose stock took a massive hit.
Yeah,
last
and
year
Mick Abel and Andrew Painter.
Mick
And
Abel,
yeah, I mean, like there were other guys. I mean, so I think it is the biggest weakness in the entire organization right now is upper level pitching depth, starting pitching depth.
So that is honestly, and that is something I feel like I can look forward to because it is interesting and it is going to be important. I think you're spot on in saying, yeah, they're probably going to need more than 10 starts from guys 7+ on the starting pitcher depth chart. Yeah, they probably are.
They are. And that's not to say, I mean, like they have 157 and a third innings from Ranger Suarez that have to be replaced by somebody. And it might be simple as Andrew Painter making 25 starts this year. And maybe he does. And maybe he's really good. And he could be.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Is Luzardo going to make 32 starts again? I don't know. Like, I sure hope he does because it was fun to watch. And like, he's exciting. Like he's in a contract year. Like, but he has not been the most durable guy in his career. Like, is he going to make 32 starts again? Wheeler, obviously we don't know a lot about. Nola, is it as simple as Nola going back to 200 innings this coming year? And that makes up for, a lot of the innings that you have to soak from Ranger? Maybe, maybe not.
It would be nice to have a bit more of an insurance policy, I think is what we're saying, just in case these top level.
And we're talking about a rotation that like they're at a luxury right now because this rotation, I'm assuming that 27-ish other teams would take it.
Oh yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Oh
so,
my God. Yeah.
Yes. These are first world problems. I think we're talking about the Phillies, but I just think that this is something that they need to, if we're talking about how we've been a little disappointed in maybe the lack of creativity, with how they've approached their off season, now is the time to be a little creative. And it's like, you have to find competent rotation depth somehow. And again, I know nobody really cares about this, and it's the least sexy thing ever, but it could be the difference between winning a division and not. It really could.
It's a great point. And with maybe not so many weeks left in the offseason, there is still work to be done, depth to address, a catching situation to tend to.
5 weeks. I just booked my first flight.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming fast, Matt. It's knocking on the door. We know what the Phillies need to do. The Phillies certainly know what they need to do. And it'll be interesting to see how things unfold here in January and early February. Matt and I will be back with you probably next week, even if nothing happens. We hope, I think, by this time next week that there's some JT resolution. I don't know if it's going to come together immediately. We'll see. At the very least, we'll be back with you more regularly here as we start this new year, as we start counting down, really, toward 2026 spring training down in Clearwater, Florida. It's very exciting. We're also cooking up a couple other things behind the scenes related to this show, related to the patreon.com/Phillies Therapy, and potentially some other little a la carte things. We'll keep you posted on that. Just stay tuned. Matt, you've got a notes article up on The Athletic today that more folks can go check out for more detail and more in-depth study on some of the topics we were talking about today. Anything else on your sites as you continue booking your flights for in the rest of this week?
We didn't talk at all about Don Mattingly. My colleague Charlotte Barnes wrote a story about Don Mattingly. He is the bench coach. The delay basically was that he was under contract with the Blue Jays through the end of the calendar year. Yeah. They just waited. So
there you go.
Donnie baseball.
Bureaucracy, baby. Yeah. I won't call it reverse nepotism because they're not doing the same job, but it is funny that the son has the higher up job than the father on the field. I guess it's not really fair to look at it that way. They're two halves of the house. It shouldn't be looked at as hierarchical that way, probably. I don't know. The son is leading the baseball ops department while the father is the bench coach, the second in command down in the dugout for the field manager. It's a dynamic. Yeah.
I would argue the pitching coach is probably second in command.
Okay, fair enough.
I was not a Yankees fan growing up as a kid, but full disclosure, like I did have a framed photo of Don Mattingly that hung in my childhood bedroom because I loved Don Mattingly when he played.
Massively
And
popular.
what a weird thing for me.
Yeah. Well, congrats to you. It'll be nice when you get to shake his hand.
I've heard he's a great guy.
Yeah, me too.
And I think they wanted, I think they wanted, a player with, some real major league playing experience, a coach with real major league playing experience on the staff. I don't think that's the end all be all. And obviously, like, it's not. You don't have to be a good coach. You don't have to be a successful major league player to be a good coach. But I do think that perspective is important, especially in an older team. And I think that's why they landed here. So, bench coach is like, how much effect will he have in the season? Probably not a lot.
Yeah, probably not. But we'll see. The last bench coach ended up being the manager for 4 years. So anything is possible. All right, that's it. That'll do it for this episode of Phillies Therapy, part of the Believe Podcast Network. Thank you all so much for listening. Again, if you want more, if you want to be part of that Discord that we've mentioned a couple times, the way to do that is to go to patreon.com/Phillies Therapy. You'll find all the information you need right there. Come join our community. We'd love to have you here in 2026. So thank you again for listening. For Matt, I am Paul, and we will see you again real soon.